We weren't able to see it the other night, but this is what the lunar eclipse looked like from areas west of us that had some clear skies. It was also called the blood moon, and this is a time lapse. I want to explain what the blood moon is because it's been thrown around this term over the last several days. It's actually called a lunar tetrad. It's actually 4 total lunar eclipses successively with no partial lunar eclipses, and it's separated by 6 lunar months, which is basically 6 full moons. So this hasn't happened since 2012, and we actually have 4 of them, as I had said. One that just happened on the 15th, another one on October 8th, and then next year we'll see some on April 4th and also September 28th. So there's your 4, there's your lunar tetrad, also called a blood moon. And again, it hasn't happened since the year 2011. What happens in a total lunar eclipse? You have 5 different stages. We're going to go over the 3 main ones because the other 2 are just when the moon goes out of the shadow of the Earth. So the penumbral eclipse is when the shading occurs when that moon starts to get into that shadow. And that's when the moon enters the Earth's outer shadow, or the penumbra. Weird word, just means outer shadow. A partial eclipse is when the moon enters Earth's umbra, and that's the area where no direct sunlight reaches the moon. So you start to get that darker shade, the black area gets over the moon, and it starts to totally kind of disappear portions of the moon. And then when you get into the total eclipse phase, that's when the sun is completely hidden from the moon. So the moon, if you were on the moon, you wouldn't be able to see the sun. And here on Earth, we see a dimly lit, deep red or orange moon. So what's that red from? Well, we're going to explain that, but after you get through those 3 stages, you go back outside of the Earth's moon, or the Earth's shadow, excuse me, and that moon slowly reappears once it gets on the other edge of the Earth's shadow. So why the red? Well, that comes from the sunrise and sunsets across the globe. It's not that there's a million, it's just that the sunrises and the sunsets are happening at different times across the Earth. And there's 2 factors that change the color of the moon, what we see here on Earth during a total or partial lunar eclipse. It's how deep the moon is in the Earth's shadow, and also the atmospheric conditions like clouds or pollution. So here's the image of some of the steps or stages through the lunar eclipse, and it doesn't show the penumbral, and that's when Earth would be right around here and would be in that shadow, and the moon is kind of situated probably where you are if you want to imagine it in a 3D version. But once we get in the Earth's umbra, which is the shadow where the moon doesn't get any sunlight, that's where we start to get to see the moon darkening and disappearing. So this is what we saw in Illinois. Dean Regis shot this one and sent this photo to us, and it has that reddish orangish glow from the sunlight.